All right. Hello, everybody in TD land. You are in a somatic practice, the somatic practice formerly known as role play, with the idea of rolling and playing, having some freedom in our bodies and some micro movement or maybe macro movement. So today, I'm going to play with something that I actually did last night in the longer meditation, and that is the relationships of our eyes, our pituitary gland, and our pineal gland. And I was inspired by Gil Hedley, who does a talk on this on YouTube. And he's an anatomist and just a gorgeous, wonderful human being. So I'm actually going to start seated and then pretty soon I'm going to lay down. The invitation is to take this in any way that feels good for you, in any way that feels nourishing. And we're just going to inquire into these places in our body. So first, just to know where they are, we're actually going to start with our eyes because the eyes have a relationship with these glands as well. So I am going to just come into a landing with myself and be like, oh, and invite you to come into a landing in your own body, feeling what it feels like to be you right now in this moment without any huge, massive need to change anything, that everything is okay as is. We're here, we're now. Nothing needs to be fixed. Things might happen, things might not happen. Whatever it is, it's fine. And yeah, just feeling into yourself for a second. If you want to make any kind of sounds or little micro movements, go for it. Coming into a sense of self, awareness of self, self-awareness, without any need to change anything. Letting us dial down, tune in, coming into sensation, and just becoming aware of where we are in our nervous system right now, where we are in our sensation in our bodies, what we're feeling, what kind of hum or thrum or buzz or ha is going on under the surface. Yeah, so we'll actually start with our eyes. We're going to rub our hands together. You can do this laying down or seated, just getting some heat in between on your palms, some awareness. I feel a big sneeze that is about to come on. Maybe, maybe not, maybe not. Okay, and we're going to take our hands and just like the cupping, the palm of the hand over your eyes. When we spend a lot of time on screens, it's nice to give our eyes a break. So as you're in there, you can just listen to what I'm saying. If you need to peek, that's fine too. But I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm just going to leave my hands over my eyes for a few breaths. And as I'm in here, I'm going to feel into the full roundness, the full juicy, wet ball of my eye. And if you actually saw your eye, it's much bigger than you would think. Like if you saw an eyeball, it's kind of in there, behind our cranium. It's fairly large. So feeling into the large, wet roundness of your eyeball, or both eyeballs, and particularly feeling into the back space of the eyes. And as you're in there, just inviting any other part around your eyes to relax. So your forehead. It's helpful if you don't close your teeth so that your jaw is a little bit soft. Ideally, breathing in and out through your nose. And just feeling into the big, bulbous, round spaciousness of your eye. Round, wet. If they want to move a little bit, they can move around, little micro movement in the eyeball, in the eye socket. But maybe it feels good just to hang out there also. And once you've gotten your awareness nice into the eyes, you can let your hands fall, leaving your eyes closed for a few breaths there. And just feeling into So even with my eyes closed, I can see light coming in, and there's sort of like a buzzing of light, I want to say. Like it's not a sound, but there's like these variations and colors. And as I sit here, I become aware of sort of the back space of my body, letting myself, letting the tissue in my whole body kind of just move back a little bit. So I'm not reaching forward into space, but I'm coming back into myself. And if you want to lay down, feel free to lay down. I'm going to open my eyes and actually invite you to open your eyes and just look around. Let the world come into you. It feels actually kind of good to me to open them kind of wide, like, oh, wide eyes of wonder, surprise. What's out there? But it might also feel good to be very soft and gentle in your eyes and just let the world come in. So you can play with it, feeling into what feels good. So your eyes, the nerves of your eyes go in and they cross over to the other side. And right sort of underneath that, that place where your eye nerves are crossing over in your head, if we go in behind the bridge of the nose, the eye nerves are crossing. If we drop down from our fontanelle and we find our soft palate, so we can take our tongue on the hard palate, and then we move back, we can feel our soft palate. So right in there, if we kind of cross hatch right in, that's where our pituitary gland is. So you can do this with, probably you want to close your eyes for it, but you could do it with your eyes open, just feeling into that space. Pituitary gland, like going right in behind the eyes, bridge of the nose, down from your fontanelle, and up from your soft palate. I'm just feeling what the energy of that space is in your body. When you bring your awareness into that location. And this may just be a trip of the imagination for you. It may actually be that you can really sense into it. Any way is totally fine. However it's coming, or you might feel like, I do not know what is going on. That's okay too. We're actually going to add a sound. And so I have earbuds in, whatever they're called, little earbud things. And because of that, it makes the sound when I talk, I can really hear it in my head. I can feel the bones of my head. So we're going to make a like a humming sound with maybe an ng, like a a yum, tasty, So to change from the M sound to the sort of ng sound, I'm changing my tongue inside my mouth. So I can go and what that does in my head is kind of makes like this waving sensation of the vibration of that sound and also what my tongue is doing. So it's allowing me to feel into my head. If you aren't hearing it or feeling it in your head, you could try putting your fingers in your ears. Plugging your ears is going to give you more awareness of that sound. So you can try that for a couple of breaths, a couple of rounds. We'll just make the So we're kind of with that sound getting in there into the pituitary gland and just giving it a little vibration. You may find that there's some overtones in your head as well as that's going on. I also feel kind of like, I almost have like this image of like sonar as my, like the bloop, bloop is like sending out these waves through my head. And when I really tune in, I have the sensation of where that pituitary gland is. So a couple more breaths with that. And for me, with micro movement of my jaw, I can really change where that vibration is from one side to the other. So I'm going to invite you to allow your body to bubble up, express, have any kind of micro movements that feel curious, interesting. It's an exploration, it's an inquiry practice that allow you to tune into that cross-hatched location of the pituitary gland behind the eyes, straight down, up above the soft palate. And we're just giving it a little action. I'm actually going to take it down onto the floor to play with this. So feeling into it, bringing your awareness into it, and maybe like we'll be here for a few minutes and then we'll come back out and talk about some other things. And allowing, maybe your whole spine gets involved. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe your breath starts to really shift as we slow down and come into this space. But just letting yourself feel into what your experience is with this. There is no right or wrong. There's no answer. We're just exploring and feeling what we feel. If it feels stressful to make the noise, don't make it. It's also fine. Really listening into what is working for you. It can also sometimes be helpful to just light touch your face or your cranium, just to feel in. If it's hard to sense the inside, maybe feel into the outside. Your pituitary gland has an anterior and a posterior sac, and both of those are responsible for releasing different hormones into your body. The back one is actually responsible for oxytocin, which is the loving, happy, feel-good hormone. So yeah, maybe tuning into the back one a little bit more, the back part of the pituitary gland, the posterior part. In the front, there's growth hormone, luteinizing hormone, different hormones that have to deal with, some of them are very different for men and women. But letting yourself tune into that space of the pituitary gland. And don't feel like you need to know all the answers or anything. It's fine just to be in the experience. This is simply an exploration, going on an adventure within your own body, within your own awareness. Oh yeah, it sits in the turcica, the silla turcica or something like that, which is the Turkish saddle of your sphenoid bone. So that's right there in that middle place in your head. Yeah, what a great image, the Turkish saddle. what does it feel like if you do a little, maybe micro movement? You could turn your head like no or yes and just feel into that. Like sometimes it's easier to find our inner sensation when we add some little bits of movement. So finding that sort of axis of your head coming in, because our pituitary gland is very close to the middle of our head, maybe a little bit further forward. We're going to get into our pineal in a minute. Well, definitely further forward than our pineal gland. Right there behind those eyes and those nerves that are crossing over. Yeah, is there any wisdom from your pituitary gland? Is there any, I don't know, I don't, any information for you there? Or maybe it's just feeling a sort of pattern of being when you're with that sensation. So we're going to take it a little deeper or further toward the floor in my head, toward our pineal gland. So our pineal gland is more like at the height of the top of our ears and a little bit further back. So if we went from our pituitary, and Gil Hedley describes it as doing a back dive kind of up. So from this pituitary gland in here, we're going to back dive up a little higher and further back, and we're going to land in the pineal gland. And the pineal gland is responsible, it relates to our eyes because somehow when we take in darkness, it relates to our circadian rhythm, which is our awareness of daylight and nighttime, when it's time to sleep, when it's time to wake up. The melatonin, so more this going to sleep for the pineal gland, it produces melatonin. So light comes into our eyes, it goes down through the optic nerve, down towards our neck, it comes back up, and eventually, I think it goes through the hypothalamus. I could be wrong about that. But eventually it comes back into the pineal gland, telling us, oh, it's really dark. It's time to start producing that melatonin, time to go to sleep. When the light is on or off, it's helping us know whether we should be producing that. Just one reason why screens, like whether they're televisions, computers, or phones, are going to really inhibit our sleeping. So best to like try not to be with those blue screens at all for a couple of hours before you go to sleep, and also for a couple of hours after you wake up in the morning, just to help even out the circadian rhythm. So coming in, back diving up and in to the pineal gland, and it's a very wet, like little pea-sized ball of, it's almost like uh, a bobo tea ball, but with less sort of bobo tea. I feel like it has a little bit more form. Like the pineal gland has form, but then it can really melt quickly if you're dead and someone's touching it. No, I just had to say it like that. It's kind of gross. But coming into our little bobo tea ball pineal gland, feeling what that feels like. What is the rhythm and the speed when you bring your awareness into the pineal gland? Or the sensation? Yeah, so there is talk that the pineal gland produces DMT, but I'm not sure if that is scientifically proven. So that it could be that when we're dreaming, some of like the dream imagery is coming from that area, or also if we have like a near-death experience. But that may or may not be true. So who knows? But we can just go into our own minds and our own imaginations and feel into that place in our own head, bringing our awareness in there. So we've come from the eyes to the pituitary, back to the pineal. And feeling in, what's the energy in there for you? And again, if you want to do any kind of micro movement or even macro movement, maybe you want to dance with this. Maybe you have like a rhythm and a tempo that it's moving in your body. Or maybe it's curious just to hang out there with your awareness. Yeah, I really have to say the work of Gil Hedley has hugely influenced my work. So thank you, Gil. Thank you, Gil Hedley, for your work. So actually a lot of the tissue of the pineal gland actually has a lot of blood flow because it's when it secretes the hormones, it goes out through your blood, out into the little capillaries telling you, oh, it's time to fall asleep, right? Working with your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. So we could think of that relationship of the pineal gland moving through your whole body, right? That these hormones, when they're secreted, go through your whole body. So it's not this isolated little pea bobo tea ball. It's actually, creating this relationship through your whole body with those hormones. Allowing yourself to feel into that. Hello, Michael. We're in the pineal gland, which he just did yesterday. So welcome to dive in with us. And I have done more research on it. There's so much wonderful stuff on the YouTubes. Yeah, there's also, I think it's called the Institute of Human Anatomy. They have a lot of great stuff too. So feeling into that bobo tea ball of pineal gland. And even if it's just in your imagination, imagining what it's like when those hormones, the melatonin, is moving through your body from your pineal gland. It could be like a trace memory out through your blood, out to your capillaries, out to the edges, little tiny parts of your body. So this very interrelated, interconnected body. Feeling into that tempo. Yeah, as the fluids are coming up into it, you could imagine it kind of like a ball on top of a fountain. I feel like I'm stealing Gil's imagery for that. So the pituitary gland is not affected by that blood-brain barrier. The blood is coming up in there. It's very blood-filled tissue. Allowing your awareness to feel into that space in your own body. And also into the rest of your body, right? As we come into one thing, we're not just there, we're everywhere. So feeling into the every-awareness of your whole body and how it's responding to this one energy pattern or feeling pattern or image pattern in your body. Like sometimes When I'm deeply in one area, I can start to let go of a lot of holding in other areas. And adding any kind of micro movement in any kind of body part, whatever feels good to you. So there's a breath in the continuum work called the Luna breath. And it's like, it's almost like you're just listening to the sound of your breath in your own head, particularly on the exhale. Sometimes I've described it as like a homeopathic ujjayi breath from yoga. Like ujjayi, you're kind of clamping, making a stronger sound. With this, if you distilled that down to almost nothing, just the tiniest little awareness of the exhale, sound of the exhale. As if you're saying ha, but your mouth is closed. Just allowing us to come deeper into the sensation of our head through that breath. If it feels confusing, just let it go. But if it feels interesting, feel free to dive into that. And that's the way all of the stuff in this class is. Just if it feels good, go there. If it doesn't, don't. Really listen to your body, listening into your own system, trusting the intelligence of your own system. If it's interesting to you and you want to come more to the surface, you can try just hands-on. Although sometimes the hands-on can help you feel deeper inside. So feel free to add some touch if that feels good. You don't have to. If you're in something that's good, then just stay there. But if you want to add touch, just bringing that sense gate into the equation can bring you back in if you find that you're wandering. And the other thing to say is if thoughts are coming up, or if you're having stories come up, or planning, judging, any of that kind of extra brain stuff is coming up, think of it like a ship on the ocean, and it's not coming into your port. It's just out there in the ocean. And you can choose what comes and goes. So you can stay in your experience without getting completely tied up with the ships that are coming and going on the ocean. If your body wants to move, feel free to let it happen. You could move a lot, or you could barely move at all. Another interesting thing about the pineal gland is that there's only one. It is not like a right side and a left side. There's just one in the center. So Rene Descartes thought that it was like the seat of the soul, because that's where there's just one thing in your body. And yeah. Embodiment by Descartes. We're all working to shift that now. So letting yourself play with your own pineal gland, maybe with your pituitary gland, maybe with your eyeballs, and maybe just with the rest of your body in any way that feels good. Giving yourself complete freedom to adjust, to soften, to melt, to wriggle, whatever you need to do, or just to be without having to fix or perfect anything at all. I'll be offering a little bit of love to those glands in your head. Hmm. And letting the heart, which is the system of the blood, right? The heart is pumping the blood, and the blood is going up into the pineal gland. So they're related. Just finding that relationship and offering it some love, offering it some kindness. Blood is pumping through your whole body, the system of your heart. That's another Gil Hedley asking, where is your heart? And if you say it's right here, he'll say it's in your whole body. It's everywhere. That blood is pumping through your whole body, and that blood is part of your heart. Hmm. Yeah, so I've come up to seating. You don't have to. You can totally stay laying down if you're laying down, but just feeling this from this other relationship with gravity is interesting. Yeah, the space of our third eye, that pineal gland. As I move in these micro movements, I can even hear sounds from inside my head. I hear sounds from adjustments beyond my breath. So listen to the internal sounds of your own body. Right, so I'm going to bring us back in. And if you're in TV land, please like and subscribe and feel free to make a comment. Yeah. That would be amazing. Let me know about your experience. And also check out Gil Hedley's video. I think I'll put the two videos that I watched, is the Gil Hedley one and the Institute of Human Anatomy. I will put them down in the comment section or in the thing below.